Today's lesson is on direct variation, and this will take pages 92 and 93 in your workbook. Your first question will have a few different pieces set up for each one. So they will show you 3 figures. They will give you a chart to fill in, and they will ask you to write a rule. So to start with, we're going to fill in our chart. So they've already filled in our figure number, and we have to write how many blocks are in each figure. So figure number 1 has 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. So we will write the number 4 in our number of blocks. Then if we look at figure 2, it has 4 and another group of 4, which is 8. So we'll write 8. And our final figure, number 3, we've got 4, 8, 12. So we would write 12 in our number of blocks. Now to come up with our rule, in the past we might have written something like start at 4 and add 4 each time. However, there is something else you might notice, and that is that we could also, for direct variation, we can multiply. So 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. So if your start at and your add or subtract number are the same, this is probably direct variation. So direct variation only has multiplying. So to write this as a rule, instead of doing our start at 4 and add 4 each time, we're actually going to use multiplication. So we're going to write multiply the figure number by 4. So you will be repeating this process for all of the questions in number 1, parts A, B, C, and D. Question number 2 is going to ask you to circle the chart where the number varies directly. So remember, direct variation means you can take your figure number and you can multiply it by something to get the number of blocks. So if we look at our first chart, 1 to 4, well, 1 times 4 is 4, but we can't do 2 times 4 is 7. In fact, there's no whole number that we could say 2 times this is 7, and there's no whole number that we could do that for 3 to 10. But if we look at our second one, 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 6 is 18. So this chart does have direct variation, or the numbers vary directly. For question number 3, there are several different parts, and they're going to give you some figures that have shaded and unshaded blocks. So the number of shaded blocks will vary directly, so it will be like multiplication with the figure number, but the total number of blocks altogether will not vary directly with the figure number. So we'll show you an example. So here are 3 figures that have stacks of shaded blocks. So they're yellow blocks in my example. And then the black box that's a different shape at the top is the unshaded box. So our first step is to write a formula for the number of shaded blocks. So figure 1 has 3 shaded blocks. Figure 2 has 6, and figure 3 has 9. So we can tell that we're adding another group of 3. So it would be 3 times our figure number would tell you how many shaded blocks are in each figure. Now, when we're looking at the total number of blocks, the number of shaded blocks changes, but the number of the long trapezoid at the top that's unshaded doesn't ever change. So it's like we just add one more on top for each shape. So that's actually exactly what we are going to do. We are going to start the same way. So we'll have 3 times our figure number, and then we will add one more. So there's always one more that adds on at the end. Now, question 4 is going to get you to do the reverse, which might be a little bit challenging. So I'm actually going to break things apart a little bit and give you some steps that they're not showing you in your book. So our end goal is to draw or build a sequence of figures to match the table, and then you need to shade the part that varies directly. So part of what I'm going to show you is actually how to write a formula for a table, and then we can use that to draw our figures. So the first thing that we want to look at is how much does our sequence go up by each time. So to get from 7 to 10, we add 3. And to get from 10 to 13, we add 3. Now, when you are dealing with a formula, this gap is the number you multiply by. So we could replace figure number with just the letter F. So we're going to have 3 times our figure number, and then it doesn't quite get us there, right? 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9. We still need one more step to take us from our multiplication to the number of blocks. So this final step, if the number you're looking for is bigger, you're going to add or subtract. So we know that we would need to add to get up to 7, and we would need to add 4. Now let's see if this works for the rest of them. 6 plus 4 is 10. 9 plus 4 is 13. So you will see that the parts of our formula stay the same all the way through. You multiply by 3 and then you add 4. This can then help us to draw our figures. So if we have figure 1, we need one group of 3, and then we need 4 extra blocks that sit as well. So I might do something like, here is my group of 3, and yours does not have to look like this at all. And this is going to get shaded in, and then I need 4 that are going to sit outside it. So maybe I'm actually going to do 4 triangles. Okay? Then for figure 2, the number of unshaded triangles won't change, but the number of shaded squares will. So now I have 2 times 3. So I'm actually going to make 2 rows of 3. And I will shade each of those in. And then I still need my 4 triangles. So altogether that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? And then for figure 3, I need 3 groups of 3 that are shaded. And then I will need my unshaded triangles to go on the outside. So the number of unshaded triangles has never changed. That's my plus 4. Whereas my 3F are my shaded boxes. Okay, so it might help to figure out the gap is how much you need to multiply by, and then you can just figure out what's left over to get you to that original number. When you have finished your assignment and you've marked and corrected all of your work, you can fill out the Google form attached to this assignment. Remember to submit, which is the purple button, and turn in, which is the green button. And as always, remember to comment on FreshGrade or Google Classroom if you need any help.